What's up, everyone? Welcome back to NATO. If you thought MAPPA was done surprising us with Chainsaw Man content, think again. They just dropped a new visual for the Reese Arc movie, and we finally have concrete release dates that are closer than you might expect. September 19th in Japan, October 23rd here in Brazil. We're looking at less than a year away from what could be one of the most emotionally devastating anime films in recent memory. And if you know anything about the Reese Arc from the manga, you understand exactly why that's not an exaggeration. Let's talk about what makes this particular announcement significant. The Reese Arc isn't just another story beat in Chainsaw Man. It's the arc that fundamentally changes how we see Denji as a character and establishes the emotional framework for everything that follows. This isn't action for the sake of action. It's a story about manipulation, genuine connection, and the devastating space between the two. The new visual gives us our first real look at how MAPPA is approaching Reese herself. Her design needs to capture both the ordinary girl working at a cafe and the bomb devil who can level city blocks. That duality is crucial because the entire arc hinges on the audience believing in both versions of her character simultaneously. From what we're seeing, they seem to understand that balance. What's particularly interesting is the directorial change. Tatsuya Yoshihara taking over from Ryu Nakayama represents a significant shift in creative vision. Nakayama established the visual language and tone for Season 1, which was deliberately chaotic and visceral. Yoshihara, known for his work on Black Clover and Akashic Records, brings a different sensibility that might be exactly what the Reese Arc needs. This story requires more emotional nuance than the pure kinetic energy that defines Season 1. The film format itself is worth discussing. Converting what could easily be several episodes into a feature-length movie means they're committing to a more focused narrative structure. The Reese Arc in the manga has natural pacing that builds toward explosive climaxes, both literal and emotional. A movie format allows them to control that pacing more precisely, building tension without the episodic breaks that might interrupt the emotional flow. Denji's character development in this arc is some of Fujimoto's strongest writing. After everything he's been through with Mikima's manipulation and the constant threat of death, he meets someone who seems to offer genuine companionship. Reese represents something Denji has never really experienced, a relationship that feels natural and unforced. Of course, the reality is more complicated, but that initial connection is real enough to matter. The synopsis mentions Denji taking shelter from Rain before meeting Reese, and that detail is more important than it might seem. Rain in Chainsaw Man often signals transition moments or emotional vulnerability. It's during this moment of seeking shelter that Denji encounters someone who will fundamentally change his understanding of connection and betrayal. MAPPA's return to this material after the success of Season 1 comes with elevated expectations. The studio proved they could handle Chainsaw Man's unique blend of body horror and emotional trauma. Now they need to demonstrate they can handle the more intimate moments that make the explosive action sequences meaningful. The Reese Arc requires both spectacular destruction and quiet character moments to work effectively. The timeline between the Japanese and Brazilian releases is relatively tight, about a month gap. This suggests they're planning a fairly wide international release, which makes sense given Chainsaw Man's global popularity. But it also means the film needs to work for audiences who might be experiencing this story for the first time alongside manga readers who have specific expectations about these characters. What makes Reese such a compelling character is how she functions as both genuine person and metaphor. She represents the possibility of normal human connection in Denji's life, while simultaneously embodying the explosive violence that defines his world. Her devil powers aren't just cool visual effects. They're directly tied to the story's themes about the destructive potential of human relationships. The cafe setting where Denji meets Reese is deliberately mundane. After the government facilities and urban destruction of Season 1, placing a crucial character encounter in an ordinary coffee shop emphasizes how extraordinary moments can emerge from everyday circumstances. It's a storytelling choice that makes Denji's emotional investment more believable. MAPPA's visual approach to this arc will be crucial. The Reese Arc contains some of the most iconic action sequences in the manga, but it also requires subtle character animation to sell the emotional beats. The new visual suggests they're taking both aspects seriously, showing attention to character design details that matter for the quieter moments. The explosion motifs that define Reese's character design need to feel both beautiful and terrifying. Her powers are seductive in their spectacle, which mirrors how her relationship with Denji appears attractive while concealing dangerous complications. Getting that visual language right will determine how effectively the film communicates its themes. So we're looking at September in Japan, October here in Brazil, and a story that's going to test every emotional defense mechanism Chainsaw Man viewers have built up. The Rize arc represents Chainsaw Man at its most emotionally sophisticated, and MAPPA seems committed to matching that sophistication with their adaptation approach. What's your take on the directorial change? Are you optimistic about Tatsuya Yoshihara's vision for this arc? Or were you hoping they'd stick with Ryu Nakayama's approach? And more broadly, how do you think the movie format will serve this particular story? Let me know in the comments. The Rize arc tends to generate strong opinions among Chainsaw Man readers. If you're staying tuned for more Chainsaw Man updates and anime film coverage, subscribe to keep up with all the latest announcements. And if this breakdown was helpful, hit that like button to help more people discover these discussions. More content coming soon, so until then, take care.